Hey guys, Elle here. Welcome back. Today we're going to continue with Review-a-Palooza. That's right, I'm banging out those tarot deck reviews. And the deck we're going to be reviewing today is the Isidore Tarot. It is a neo-victorian tarot deck by a woman named Bethalynne Bajema. No idea. And this is the name of the website where you can go to buy the tarot deck. It is still readily available out there. And the version that I have is the second edition. The first edition, I think, didn't have rounded corners, and the cardstock wasn't as good, and there were a few changes to some of the illustrations. So that is one of the extra cards that you get, and this is the other extra card that you get with the deck. It's basically a 78 card deck, but you do get these two other cards. This one you could totally like leave in your deck. It has a regular backing, and this image doesn't appear in the tarot deck anywhere else, and it's a really cool image. Look at that. So you guys recognize these illustrations? The whole deck utilizes the adorable vintage artwork of JJ Grandville. So here's what the back of the cards look like. They are completely reversible. Let me zoom in on that for you. How cute is that? So this is an independently published deck by the Attic Shop Trading Company. Came out in about 2014. And it's a deck that sticks very closely to the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition. I told you guys I was going to do a bunch of Rider-Waite-Smith reviews, so here's another one for you. And I will put links below to Bethalynne's personal website. I'll put a link to the Attic Shop Trading Company and to the IsidoreTarot.com, through all of which you can actually purchase this deck, because it is still readily available out there. Yay! So also, I do not have a box for this guy. You have two options when you go to the website to purchase this deck. You can get the entire set, which is the deck and the book. There's a book for this too. And then you get the box or a tin or whatever's available at the time. I went with the budget option, which I think is just so fantastic that they have that option, where you just get the deck. Now, I believe when you purchase the deck, it does come with like a tuck box. But when I got it, it was just... I believe it was. If I did get a box, I can't find it anywhere. I don't think it came with a box when I got it. I think it just came shrink wrapped, and it actually came with this little bag when I got it. But I think you get a box with it now if you order it today. By the way, I think that they only ship within the United States. But if you are in the United States, there's like 3 other amazing tarot decks that she has up on the site. They're really cool looking. There's the latest one is the Halloween Tarot, and it's a majors only deck, but it's friggin' amazing. And then there's a few Lenormand decks, and there's even a playing card deck up there. So definitely go, check that shit out. Really cool decks. So actually, one more thing before we jump into the deck. I'm going to pull out those 2 cards that I showed you already. So this is, obviously the standard size. This one I attempted to trim. I was not in love with the stark white borders. I don't know if you can tell, but I actually colored in that border a little bit, so it actually even looks more bright white when you get it. So I thought about trimming it, but it made the cards really, really small, and I didn't love it, so I just practiced on that guy. But what I ended up doing, you can see here on the Fool card, this one's almost dark white. Can you see how much better the border blends now? It worked out really good. What I did was I took this marker, it's one of those Copic sketch markers you can find at Michael's or whatever, it's E31 Brick Beige, and I just colored in the borders, and I like smudged it with my fingers so you couldn't see the strokes of the pen, and it worked amazingly. There have only been like, 2 other decks in my entire collection where I had to mess with the deck in some way because the borders bothered me so much. And this, unfortunately, was one of them. You could totally trim them off if you want. Maybe they won't bother you, but there's this great aged effect on the center of all the cards, and then the stark white borders I just found so distracting. But not anymore. Yeah, the only other two decks that I ended up doing something to, and I ended up trimming them, were my Cosmic Tarot and my Navigators of the Mystic Sea Tarot. Both of which I think are just so much better trimmed. I really enjoy them now. I did take the same marker and edge the deck too. That marker is the one that I've used to give an aged effect to all the tarot decks that I have that have that aged effect on them. That marker works really, really well. You can go over it several times to get like a beige color, but if you just go over once, you get this lightly aged and used look. It's great. So what this deck really is, actually, it's not just JJ Grandville illustrations. It's really more of a collage deck. She's combined his illustrations with her own artwork. These pen and ink illustrations or drawings that you see throughout the deck. Especially in the backgrounds. Can you see that? There's always an interesting sort of horizon in each card. There's your Magician. Here's an owl. It's all like friggin' animals. It's got this really cool feel to it. The thing with the JJ Grandville illustrations, I think, is that they are super duper like detailed. You know, they're really very elaborate. And I think, you know, the cards are definitely big enough where you can make out all the detail. I think this is one of those decks, though, too, that would be even better if the cards were a little bit bigger. Even the font, I feel like, although I love it, could have been a little bit bigger. But it works. It does. There is your Hierophant. Very Rider-Waite-Smith. And he's a bird. Can you see that? It's like a raven. I love the surreal, sort of funny-looking people and silly animals, and the whole deck is kind of color-coded also. Your majors are numbered, as you can see up there. This is your lovers. And all the major arcana have this sort of brownish, maybe, color at the bottom there. You'll see when we get into the minor arcana that each suit has its own color scheme, too. Here's your Chariot. Look at all that detail. Isn't that crazy? I love how, like, some of the things are, like, vividly colored and some still has this sort of black and white look to it. And, of course, Strength is 8 here, and Justice is 11. Look at the Hermit. Your Wheel of Fortune. So there actually is another tarot deck out there that utilizes these JJ Grandville vintage illustrations also. It's called the Fantastic Menagerie Tarot. I don't have that deck, but I've looked at it online. It's really beautiful too. But it has a very different, can you see him there? It has a very different feeling than this deck, which I think is so sort of strange because it has a lot of the same style, the same images. You know, it's by the same artist. You know, that one feels a bit more lighthearted, a little bit more whimsical, and although I feel like those things certainly do apply to this deck also, this one feels a bit more serious to me. Yeah, I don't know if it's like the color schemes or the images that she's chosen to put on each card. Look at this guy. Or the backgrounds that she's added. But yeah, it doesn't feel like a silly deck, even though there's these silly, surreal sort of images in it. There's your Sun card. Look at that sun. There's Judgment. This is one of my favorite cards. Look at that cockatoo. I love him. And the World. Yeah, there's like lots and lots of birds in this deck, so I so dig it. Okay, here we go into our minor arcana. Here is your Ace of Wands, and you'll see everything, see that at the bottom, they all have that red color. And then when you get into the cups, they're blue. Into the swords, so we skip the swords, there's the swords. They're like this light yellow and then like a dark yellow or a golden color towards the end there with the coins. And they are listed as wands, cups, swords, and coins in this deck. Even though you'll see when we get to like the swords, they're more like forks, which I thought was just so great. It works so well. Okay, he's an elephant. There's your 3 of Wands. Your 4, Super Rider Waite. This is definitely another deck that you can sort of open up and start reading with kind of right away, right out the box. Because it does stick very, very closely to a Rider-Waite-Smith. There's your 6. Look at that. It's like a donkey riding on a zebra. I am so pleased with myself with how the borders of this deck came out. It just worked out so well. The borders do not bother me at all anymore. Not even a little bit. And it's completely imperfect the way I went about it, but it works. It blends so well. Alligator! I love the Victorian vintagey feel of these cards. So there's your Page of Wands. There's your Knight. Oh, little guy. There's your Queen of Wands. She's a cat, and she has a cat. And there's your King of Wands. And there's your Ace of Cups. Everything is blue. Even the background sort of changes too. The whole thing is color-coded so well. And the cups have this really cool look to them. I love the way that the cups look in this deck. And your 3 of Cups. Look at these guys. This deck just makes me so friggin' happy. Here's your 4 of Cups. And your 5 of Cups. So the name, the Isidore Tarot, by the way, comes from the full name of JJ Grandville. So I wrote it down because his name is freaking crazy. You ready? His full name is Jean Ignace Isidore Gerard Grandville. A bit of history for you. Here's your 7. Can you see that there's actually like all the classic things sort of arising from the cups, or some of the classic symbolism. In the 8 of Cups, you have your dude walking away in the moonlight there with the stacked cups. They're stacked, and the suit symbols are all, for the most part, really arranged exactly like they are on the Rider-Waite-Smith card too. It's not just the image doing something Rider-Waite-Smithy, it's sort of Rider-Waite-Smithy. I love it. It sort of has the same arrangements in most of the cards here too. Look at that. I love this card. Isn't that great? Look at those little bugs. And your Cups Courts. Here's your Page. Your Knight. This is one of my favorite cards too. Look at that one. That one's actually a woman there too. Isn't that great? They play around with that a little bit here. Here's your Queen of Cups. And your King. And here in your swords, you see that whole color change again. And like I said, they're like forks here. Crossing forks. Here's your 2 of Swords. She's blindfolded. 3 of Swords. Your 4 of Swords. See, they're arranged. He's not sort of laying down here, but the forks are completely arranged the way they would be on your classic Rider-Waite-Smith. There's your 5 of Swords. More birds. And your 6. Look at this one. The bottle's alive. And your Seven of Swords. You're a thief. Here's your 8. Aren't they great? They sort of have almost a minimalist feel to them, don't they? Which again is so good because how detailed, you know, these illustrations really are. Look at that. Love it. You know, so I think that if the cards were, you know, a lot more busy, I wouldn't necessarily be able to work with them because they're so detailed. And if the cards were totally filled up with his sort of illustrations, I think it'd be too busy, you know. But it's just, you know, this one detailed figure, and even the whole background is so lightly done that it doesn't draw your focus. They have a soft feel to them, don't they? Here's your Queen of Swords and your King of Swords and your Ace of Coins. See that color change again? I actually love the coins like this too. They almost look like records, don't they? They're like these black discs with holes in them. This guy's like a monkey with like a human head. And there's your 3 of coins. I feel like some of the cards even almost have like a steampunk quality to them, don't they? This dog is so badass. He's like half dog, half bird. So good. Oh, sad bear. He's only got 1 leg. He's got a peg leg. Here's your 6 of coins. This is one of the busier cards, actually. See what I mean, though? I feel like if they were all more like this, or even more so, it'd be a little bit distracting and hard to read with. But it's really not. This deck is super easy to read with. You know, you could sit there and just get lost in the cards at the same time, though, too, because of how detailed they are. Look at that. He's an artiste. There's lots of, like, subtle details, but they're not crazy busy, you know? Yeah, it's another deck that really transports you, you know? It's that theme that you just get sucked into a whole nother world. There's your Page of Coins. And your Knight. Again, it's like half one animal and half another. A lot of them are half animal and half human, or 2 different types of animals. And that's your King of Coins. Back to our Fool. I love the Fool. He's like half rabbit, half human, and the dog is half human, half dog. You can see the background there in that card. Isn't that great? They shuffle like a dream. Here is a Rider-Waite-Smith card. You can see they really are average tarot size. They're just a hair taller and a hair wider, like just ever so slightly than your Centennial Rider-Waite-Smith. And actually the cardstock feels pretty similar. They're just a slight bit thinner than your Centennial cardstock. Super glossy. They're definitely a little bit more on the matte side, but they have a decent coating on them. These cards will hold up for a good long while. Yeah, so this is another deck that it is sort of hard to find information on. There's not a lot of reviews out there. I couldn't find any other videos on YouTube, barely any on people's tarot websites either. So I really wanted to get this one out there. It's a delightful little deck that you can get your hands on right now if you're into it. And that is the Isidore Tarot. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.